So one day I kind of got this epiphany is like, well, where do I really want to work? Well, in my neighborhood was Highlands Ranch. So the average sale price was a little bit higher.
Let's rewind the clock back to when not only you had zero agents before you were an agent yourself, or before you were a founding broker and before an agent.
I have a menu of services showing this is this and this is the cost. We're seeing that is exponential growth.
Hello and welcome back to the Masters of Real Estate. If you're a real estate agent, or if you're looking to, buy or sell a home, you will want to listen to this conversation from Matt Kuchar. Matt, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing great, Nick. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. It's so nice to have you. It seems like you're joining us from sunny Florida. I spot some palm trees and sunlight and, beautiful weather in the background.
Yeah, it's this is a great time of the year where we're starting to see some drier weather. It's not in the 90s anymore, not 100%. Yeah, we love it. All our northern friends will be joining us soon.
What do you call them? The snowbirds, right? So what do you call that? Snowbirds. You did that out. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why it exists, right? It's just Florida is just beautiful in the winter. So we get into all of that. Now, people want to hear what you do on your own, in your own words. So how do you introduce yourself these days?
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Showami. It's an on-demand showing service for real estate agent. What I tell people.
Showami, you're the founder of Showami, an on-demand showing service for real estate agents. I've never heard of something like this before till I met you. And I actually was introduced to you through another friend of mine who's also focused on innovation in real estate. So I'm very excited to share your story with the world. Before we do that, people really want to understand, Matt, what you're like. So if you had to pick spirit, animal, or bird to best describe you and your personality and your operating principle in life, what do you feel you would select?
It would be a salmon. And you're probably wondering, like, why would you choose a salmon, right? Like, think of the journey that salmon goes through, right? They enjoy being out in the ocean and everything, but at the end, they're just so focused on one thing that they beat themselves up to reach this goal of spawning up and, at the head of the river. But I love that their tenacity. I love their drive. And yeah, I think it's what came to mind.
Wow. Yeah. Thinking about it, there are not a lot of fish that swim upstream because it's extremely difficult to do. And salmon not just does it does it really, really well. And sometimes I've seen photos of salmon even jumping over tiny waterfalls or tiny, rocks and streams. Wow. So that showcases your relentlessness and determinism and grit. Is that kind of your main operating principle in life? Like you will go through tremendous amounts of pain to get to what your main goals are?
Yeah, I totally relate with that's what they experience. And in many ways, that's what I've experienced. Absolutely.
And it seems like that's kind of, it shows up right as well, right? You're almost wearing like a salmon colored suit right now, and Showami's colors are also like salmon color. Is that all intentional or is that all like coincidental?
It certainly wasn't related to the salmon. It was a color that was chosen when we had met with a marketing company, and they were like, hey, these are the colors that are going to be in 2016, 2018 when we started. And but we've run with it. The jackets came from, so I don't know if you know, but my son Josh is our director of marketing. And he's amazing at what he does. So we were going to do a conference. It was Inman, and we wanted to stand out. And we had orange as our color. So he's like, let's get suits. So everywhere we're at, everybody knows that we're with Showami. And now, like, we can't go anywhere without them because everyone's immediately, they go, oh, you're the Showami guys. So
Showami guys.
Yeah, it was a brilliant marketing ploy by him. I can't take credit.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, you should just call this the salmon orange.
Yes.
I'd want to get into your background because you have an amazing story, and eventually I also want to get into how it's like working with your son. Before that, if you were to select a metric a single metric that summarizes your entire professional journey so far, what would you say that is?
Well, I mean, what we're oftentimes judged by, or what Showami has been able to accomplish, is we have 150,000 real estate agents who have jumped on the platform, right? That's 10% of all the agents in the United States, or at least with NAR. So I think that's the one metric that we could redo that. I'm totally messed that one up.
It's all right. Yeah, let's try that again. Matt, that sounds insane. I want to get into more about, what you're doing at Show. I mean, especially what it's like to work with your son. But before that, I want to hear a perspective of your past and what got you here. So if you were to think about a single metric that summarizes your entire professional trajectory so far, what would you say that metric is?
150,000 real estate agent. When we started, we didn't have one. And now we have over 150,000 agents who are on the Showami platform.
Holy cow, Mac. That's almost 10% of the agent market, depending on how you measure it. And, I just Googled in the background, one of the largest real estate brokers last year was Compass. Did, a massive amount of volume, and they have less than 30,000 agents roughly. So, people don't really realize how amazing of an achievement this is.
Yeah, you have to onboard each and every one of those people. So it's a monumental task, but it's been so rewarding. And, hearing the agent stories, things like that, it's great.
Wow. Wow. Now let's rewind before we talk about, how you onboarded them, and before we talk about Showami, let's rewind the clock back to zero. Let's rewind the clock back to when not only you had zero agents before you were an agent yourself, or before you were a founding broker and before an agent. What would you say were some of the main inflection points in your life that led you to today?
Yeah. So first of all, my career in many ways was chosen for me. My father-in-law was selling mobile homes. I was dating his daughter, and he was like, "You better have a good job." So he got me brought into selling these mobile homes, and that led into real estate. And I loved it. I loved working with people, and that, continued to grow. So that made me successful. I wasn't afraid of picking up the phone, making phone calls. I wasn't afraid of asking people, "Hey, is this a home you want to buy?" And, those are some of the inflection points. Moving to Denver was another one that made me start over. I had been super successful in Florida, had a team. And then I moved to this area. I knew nobody, not one single person. And so I was a new agent, and I didn't have a sphere. I didn't have any of that. And I had to restart. Very, very important, because you learn, you get to create things the way you want them, rather than, reacting from the first time that you do something. It was great.
Fascinating. So it seems like there were two major inflection points you described. Like, one is falling in love with your now wife. Yeah. And then, when you were dating her, your father-in-law was like, "Matt, if you want to date my girl, you have to have an amazing job." And, you started selling mobile homes. And seems like he immediately fell in love with the process. And the second one was when you moved to Denver and had to basically rebuild everything from scratch. But I want to talk about the first one first. So, what was it inside you, or what traits did you pick up inside you that didn't make you afraid of picking up calls, asking people about which homes they wanted to buy, showing homes, all of that?
Well, each person you talk to is an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to serve. It's an opportunity to give. And so I love opportunity. Yeah. And that's how I view people. That's even like us talking right now. This is an opportunity. There's somebody who's listening, who's going that, hopefully we'll get that vision and get that heart going, like, okay, I can serve this person. I can help this person. And I'm the best person for the job to do that.
Wow. Wow. So seems like it's a combination of the upside potential, which you call an opportunity, and your passion for serving people or helping them find what they are looking for. Is that the right perspective?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, you fast forward, you become a successful broker, you work in multiple brokerages, and you're very successful in the Florida market. And, for most agents listening to this right now, knowing your local market is one of the most important traits of success. So what was it like leaving all of that behind and moving to a new market where you didn't know anybody and you had to restart from scratch?
actually by that time I was pretty burned out on real estate and I started a handyman business, right? So I was like, I'm going to be a handyman because I love fixing up homes and I'm an investor. I love to do that. But I was too nice. I never charged enough. And, within 6 months to a year, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And other people had learned that I was in real estate in the past and are like, hey, why don't you come work for us? And ended up being successful in that. And and that was also during the downturn, right? 2006 to 2008, 10, when everything was crashing. So, in the most difficult time, I was starting from, and that made you be very focused because if I didn't sell, I didn't eat. And I really like to eat. I was very focused on what's the next thing I have to do to talk to somebody who's interested in buying or selling a home, and how do I meet their needs, which ends up meeting my needs. So absolutely. I love the sales process. I love real estate. It's, and I know I'm helping people. When you buy real estate, you're giving stability to families. You're helping somebody, if they stay in it long enough, they have this asset that's paid off and they can live for free, other than taxes and insurance. It's amazing.
Absolutely agree. And seems like you're almost describing the immigrant mentality, right? Which is why immigrants also make amazing founders, because when you're in a new location, new everything, you also knew the language. Sometimes immigrants don't even know the language and they still have to eat like you described. And some of them just find the hustle in themselves to grow and, find ways to just focus on the next step and the step after that. And most realize that the real way to create value is to help others achieve what they want. And that's how you create value for yourself. And seems like that has been strongly embedded in you in this whole salmon mindset.
Absolutely.
Fascinating. So seems like, you helped, I checked your LinkedIn bio, you helped, sell over 500 properties. I'm sure you've influenced you know, tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate transactions. For someone looking to enter into the real estate world now, or that's someone that's new into the real estate world, brokerage world right now, what would you say are the things that differentiate a good broker from a great broker?
I think drive, education, it's a process. Helping a buyer or a seller across the finish line is a process. You better be very educated as you possibly can about what they're going through, what ways that you can give them advice. That's what they're looking for, right? We're the expert. So meeting them where they're at, helping to educate them and move them along. But you as a new agent who's trying to do this, look to your mentors. I had some great mentors that I could go, hey, this is how you need to be doing it. This is what made me successful. You don't have to recreate the wheel. Learn how the wheel works and make it work.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. You had to have first of all an inner drive to succeed, and learn, educate yourself about the process end to end. Like you said, learn how the wheel works before you try to break it. And then to learn that, look at your mentors, people who are already doing it successfully around you. That's very good.
So and don't be afraid to try something new. Try several things, because what works for that guy might not work for you. So you've got to figure out how you're going to meet your clients, where you meet them. You've got to take and make it your own. But you're only going to know that by trying a lot of different things to see what works.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Don't be sorry. I'd love to hear from you. We are here to just learn and hear from you. So don't be sorry when you're, giving us such amazing insights and feedback. So, Matt, like most brokers or agents, when they start their career, they do purchases, they do listings, they try to do everything. Eventually, they find their niche. And seems like you did find your niche, right? So how was it that you found your niche, and what was that epiphany like?
So pain helped me create my niche. And I'll tell you what that means. So I was trying to be all things to everybody. So I was lead generating all over the Denver. And this is the most recent, or when I was up in Denver at right now with Showami. But I was running up to northern Colorado. I was taking leads down in Colorado Springs. I was all over the place, right? So I was selling homes, but I was working like so many hours. It was ridiculous. And it's taking me away from my family. So one day I kind of got this epiphany is like, well, where do I really want to work? Well, in my neighborhood was Highlands Ranch. So the average sale price was a little bit higher. I liked the area. I knew the area. My kids went to school there. I had friends there. And I was like, you know what? I am going to become the Highlands Ranch expert. So and instead of running all over the place, I mean, I can remember this one night. I'm up in Loveland, Florida in a blizzard in like November or December. I couldn't even get back. It was so insanely bad. I'm like, what am I doing up here? I've got to work in Highlands Ranch. So what did I do? I started focusing all of my marketing, all of my messaging, all of my spear, everybody I could in Highlands Ranch. Eventually, I got to be in the top 1 to 3. Me and these 2 other people basically kept rotating between number 1 for years and years. And I was so much happier. I was working less hours. I was driving less. I was spending more time with my family. And I was making per transaction because that's the way it worked. So that was what my journey looked like.
Fascinating. Fascinating. And if you're wondering, I'm sipping hot water now. I'm just going through a tough like cough and cold, and I don't want my voice to impact for the audio quality of our podcast. So you found your niche in Highlands Ranch, and you realized that focusing on one market could lead to a lot more revenue for you for a much more valuable use of your time. Eventually, you also found your niche and love for just showing properties, right? Just like that hyper tiny area of the market where you're like, when you take a buyer through a potential home and you walk them through it and the experience they want to feel and the data they want to get and the feelings they want to feel. How did you find that niche as well? And what did you learn in that niche?
So that also was pains. The how this created. One day I decided I was going to go skiing, right? In Colorado. I'm loving the slopes. I get a call from a client while I'm up there and they're like, hey, this home just came on the market. I've got to go see it. And this is Denver in like 2014 or 15, and stuff was flying off the market within like hours. So, and I'm like, I'm on the slope. So what did I do? I did like any agent would do. I started calling every agent in my office. Hey, can you help? Can you help? Can you help? 45 minutes to an hour later, I finally got somebody. And then we had this awkward conversation. Like, am I paying you? Are we trading off? Am I doing you a percentage? And I was like, no. I've been working with these people for months. They just need to see a house. So I paid $100. They went, saw the home, wrote the contract, and I was having a beer with a friend later. I'm like, there's got to be an easier way. This was super inefficient. Why couldn't I have an agent who was in Denver show the house that was local? And that's where the idea came from. So literally in a bar, having a beer with a friend on a napkin, we wrote out the business plan for Showami, and that was the start.
Incredible, man. Incredible. What a story. So now if you have to describe Showami again to a potential home buyer or a purchase agent listening to this, how do you describe it to them? What can Showami put for them?
Right. So really Showami is going to enable their agent to better serve. Right. How many times has a buyer gone to their agent and said, hey, I want to go see this home at 6:00. I can't. I'm having dinner. My kid's sporting event is then, and then there's this whole like, how do I schedule this? And disappointment, or they miss out on it because of that. Their agent can now leverage help when they need it for a set, amount of fee that allows the client to be served in many ways better, right? Hey, if you fall in love with that house, I'm going to drop what I'm doing. I'm going to come right out there and see it. But there's a good chance you're going to go see this home and it might not be the right one, but you've taken me away from my family and you've taken me away from this important event for me. So for the client, the actual consumer, they get in to see the homes that they want to see when they want to see them. Besides goings, we're now doing open houses, we're doing property reports, we're taking pictures. There's this whole list of things that we can do that allows the agents to leverage or other agents to do these things. And so now the agents has the ability to not have to be, you can't be more than one place at a time. But this kind of enables you through other people to be at multiple multiple places at one time. So that's what it does. It's leverage. It gives them the opportunity to better serve their clients and, meet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the way I look at it is, there are three components to a purchase agent's job, right? There's finding the homes, there is, visiting the homes, and there's putting the offer on the homes. And of these three, only number makes money for, right? If you're writing a purchase contract or offer, only that's going to make money. Obviously, with today's NAR lawsuit, yeah, you could potentially charge the client for even, seeing homes and all that. But in the end, you're only really getting paid for putting the offer. So meanwhile, agents spend an inordinate amount of time showing people homes. They used to also spend an inordinate amount of time finding homes, but now that's being taken care of thanks to online search platforms. So, if you're spending a lot of time with your home buyers who can take anywhere from 3 months to 18 months to 36 months to decide which home they want to put an offer on, you can outsource that to a local agent for a very low cost and focus on building and maintaining the relationship with the home buyer so you can finally monetize it when they write an offer on their home. Is that the right summary as well?
Absolutely. It's for the busy agent. It's for any agent who wants to run a business rather than have a job. I'll give you another use case. And I've done this myself, but we're seeing this more and more in agents. In Denver, they're outlying areas. A lot of people move from Denver and that area south to Colorado Springs or north to Loveland
Or Boulder.
Boulder, right. So now it's kind of out of their area. In the past, what they would do is they would say, hey, I'm going to find you an agent in Boulder. I'm going to find you an agent in Colorado Springs. And, they'll give me a 25% referral, right? Well, first of all, that person has a relationship with you. They trust you. You've done a good job for them. They want to work with you. They don't want to work with the agent in Boulder or Colorado Springs. So instead of referring them, you could go, look, I want to continue to work and have our relationship. I'm going to have an agent in that area just show you the homes. I'm doing everything else. I'm negotiating. I'm writing the contract. I'm there for you. I'm managing the whole transaction. So you get me in every aspect except for the home showing. And so they can service clients that are maybe a little bit out of their area than where they would have normally tried to refer them. And I can tell you, I used to do the referral thing. It didn't always work well. There were times where I referred to an agent and maybe they didn't follow up really well. They didn't connect with that client, and the client ended up, unhappy for some reason. So we're seeing that a lot more where they're going like, hey, I'm going to help you in other areas outside of where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the hesitations that agents might have after listening to this is, I'm happy to pay someone some money to help them show a home for my client, my relationships. But how do I know they're not going to steal my client? So what's your typical answer to that question?
Well, the NAR settlement solved all of that because you have to have an agreement with them before they go see home, right? So as of the 17th, everybody has an agreement. You have an agreement, right? You're not even allowed to go show a home without an agreement. So that's like a non-issue anymore. But beyond that, right? The agreement is set there to create this, client relationship, but it's still relationship. We try to coach the agents to go like, don't just rely on Showami to show the homes all the time. You're calling them ahead of time. Hey, you're on your way, right? Half an hour. The agent's going to be there. Their name is Matt. You're going to be meeting Matt. Matt's going to be great, but I'm still the one who's going to write the contract. Then after they've done the showings, whether it's 1, 2, 3, call them back. Hey, how did those showings? What'd you think about this house? What about that house? It's still relationship. Real estate is a relationship business, and we are just a tool. You don't rely on us for everything. You just, it's the showing. So you got to have that relationship with them. You have the relationship with that buyer. I don't care what anybody does. They're not going to steal them from you. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, Nick's amazing. Like I'm insulted that you would think I would go anywhere other than,
Absolutely. And seems like Showami also solves another problem because of the NAR settlement, or like you call it, the NAR settlement. I'm not sure what to call it. but let's just call it NAR and narrative. We all have our own way. But thanks to the NAR settlement, there's also another problem you solve, which is if you're a home buyer that is looking to buy a home, but you are not sure, you want to sign a contract with your purchase agent because you're not sure, you worked with them before, and they're a new or a recommendation, or you found them from an online search. You can also use Showami directly to just see home and get insights from your local agent before you decide who you're going to sign with. Is that also the right summary, Matt, or no?
So that is a test case in 2 states right now. So we do not offer nationwide where a consumer can pay for a showing. We do have it where the clients of an agent can pay for the showing, because that's their business model. Some of the agents use that as a business model to serve their clients like, hey, I'm going to do, I have a menu of services, showings is this, and this is the cost. We're seeing that is exponential growth across the board everywhere right now. But an actual consumer coming to Showami wants to go see a home, they can only do that in a few states. We still have an agreement with them. They still have to have before they go show, but it's much like your Zillow touring, agreement where they're not obligated beyond a certain period of time, and it's a very limited service. We're not going to sell you a home. The practice of showing the home is the only part of the agreement.
Makes sense. And which states is that, Matt?
That's in Florida and Georgia.
For an agent listening to this right now that's highly impressed, and Showami sounds like a no-brainer. It can basically expand my time and help me, gain a lot more customers without losing my client relationships. How should they start working with you and Showami?
Sure. So they would go to the website, showami.com, and on the top there's a sign up button, and it's going to take them through creating a profile. We're going to verify that you're an actively licensed agent. We're going to verify your identity. You are who you say you are. And once you're approved, then you can use us to schedule homes or to be the one who shows the homes and there's more. I think that's one of the other things that we're serving. And we talk about the customer journey, right? Our dream is to take an agent who's maybe new or not producing a lot, get them signed up. Now they start doing some showings. They learn the showing process. They learn what homes are in a particular market. They start building relationships with other real estate agents. And eventually we take them from the showing agent to being a initiating agent who's now using Showami. That's my ultimate dream. There's many people that reached out to me when we go to the shows and they're like, I was a brand new agent 3 years ago. I didn't know anything. Yeah, you gave me my first shot. It gave me some confidence. I was out showing homes, and now I use you. I love hearing those stories. That's golden to me. That's what it's all about.
That's golden indeed. So, Matt, what is the story behind naming this company Showami specifically?
Sure. So we wanted you had to be somewhat descriptive, right? So show was in there. The other thing was we wanted it to be copyrightable. So you couldn't be too close to other names. So when we got with the attorney and we got with a marketing company, we spent a couple of hours coming up with a bunch of different names and ideas. And ultimately the attorney did some searching on all of them, and we came up with Showami. And there's 2 reasons. One was show ami in French. Ami means friend. So it's kind of like you're showing friend, and we loved that part of it. And then even the idea of a guru like Showami, it's fun.
Yeah.
We could domains, we could own the domains. We can trademark, copyright. So those were the things that were important from a legal standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. And seems like, you mentioned before that you grew it from 0 to almost 10% of the agent market, right? Where nearly 1 in 10 registered agents or brokers in the country are on board on our platform. What were some of the main, aha moments that led you to scaling such a huge number?
Automation. There had to be a process of onboarding the agents. And there's one process, and it's just like in many ways real estate, of lead generation. How do I get people interested? How do I get my message out there? Then once they've found out that you exist, now what's the process? What did they go through, to onboard? And the less friction, the better. The easier, the more simple it is, the more likely someone's going to use it. You look at Apple products and Steve Jobs. You hit a button and it does what you think it's going to do. That's what we want Showami to do. I want it to do one thing. I want somebody to show the home tomorrow at 5, and I want to be able to get there in 20 seconds or less. That's what we can.
Wow. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So it seems like this process was a major aha moment of scale because it can help you onboard a lot of agents very, very quickly. What was the process, aha moment of scale in the lead generation process as well?
Sure. So we're struggling to move into new markets, right? So we were in Denver, we started there, and then agents started finding out about us in Texas and California and other states. And we're like, all right, let's go to Texas. Obviously there's a need there. And with everything, we've tried a lot of different things. We use Facebook ads, we use, Google ads, we used email, we used Indeed ads, you name it. There's a million different things that we tried. And then with all of them, we used a code so that we knew where the person was coming from, right? So at the end of the sign-on link, it was source equals, probably in the weeds, but that tells us where the person found out about us from. One of the other things that happens once you start running transactions and you have people signed up to show homes, they're getting alerts when a job comes available, right? What is that? Ultimately, that starts to remind them, oh, there's this service Showami that shows home. Whether they show the home or not, they're kind of reminded of who you are. Later on down the road, they're having a conversation with somebody who's like, hey, can you show a home for me? And they're like, no, I can't, but you can always go on Showami. And then the word of mouth starts to spread. So, and that's really, word of mouth is number one. It works like it's supposed to. People like the product, and then they tell others.
Love that, Matt. What entrepreneurship perspective. Absolutely love this side of hearing your story as well. So tell me more about what it's like to work at Showami. How would you describe the culture inside your company?
So very collaborative. We don't have silos. We're still a small team. Imagine this. You have 150,000 agents. You're running hundreds of thousands of transactions with 6.
Wow.
6.
Amazing.
So we have people who are dedicated to some things, right? We have 2 full stack, full-time developers, software developers. So they're the ones who build, right? But then you have me, who's kind of, where's the direction? I'm getting feedback from our customers. We've got marketing and sales. We've got admin, customer support. So, the culture is, all of us are working towards the same goal of how do we make our customers happy? How do we help the agents, help the client? And that's one thing that we're focused on. Much like the salmon swimming upstream, that's our focal point. What is the experience of the person who's on our platform or using it or is out there being shown a home? What's their experience, and how do we continue to improve it? We're listening. What's feedback we're getting? When we look at customer service tickets, all right, we got 100 tickets this week. What were they about? Well, so many were, I don't know how, I lost my password. Okay, well, how do we make it easier for people to reset their password? They're little things, but they make a big difference later on down the road because people aren't frustrated.
Yeah, I agree. It's extremely cool. Yeah, teach like a very strong, tight-knit culture that's obsessed on a single goal, rapid feedback driven, and anchored through 2 full stack engineers that are constantly churning out better upgrades. So it's insane. It's like a tiny SEAL team that's taking on the entire home listing market. How is it like working with your son, Matt? What are the highs and lows of working with a blood relative?
So at first I told him I wouldn't hire him. So I would, you've heard war stories, families that go into work together and now they don't talk to each other, So I went from, but even as he was a FGC grad with marketing, in entrepreneurial studies. He totally went into that. So he was built much like I was, and he would just kind of help me on the side. But I saw him doing amazing work for everybody else. And then I'm like, all right, I went from going, there's no way I'm ever going to hire you, to, all right, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. And brought him on, and it's the best thing that I could have ever done. I mean, if you look at a lot of people don't know much about SEO or SEM, but there's a big company out there that's worth 500 million, showing time, right? And if you look up anything to do with showings, like they're number one. Like we compete with them with this little itty bitty team. Really, it's Josh and a couple of other tools that he uses. Like we're right in there with, so that's our goal, is to be the David and Goliath. We can beat them with a lot smaller team. And it's exciting. But no, it's great working with him. We go fishing, we do a lot of other stuff. He's a new dad, so he's like got an 8-month-old son, and then my wife watches Liam during the day. It's magical. I literally have a magical life right now.
That sounds incredible. How did you handle the lows of also working with them? Like, how did you handle the differentiation between professional lives and personal life?
Sure. We don't. See, to dinner, we're talking about Showami, and Marcella will go like, all right, can we just talk about something else? Can you guys talk about something else? And we do, obviously not with the baby, that takes our attention. But yeah, when you live and breathe something and you're excited and you believe in what you're doing, yeah, you're not going to go like, hey, that's this part of my life and that's this side of the life. And it wasn't that way with real estate. Like, I swear if he hadn't become an entrepreneur, he'd be in real estate right now, because he was, he understands the lingo. He knows. That's all the times I was taking him from, one sporting event to the other. He's hearing me talking to clients on the phone about real estate. So yeah, it's in the DNA.
Wow. So I have to ask this question because it's one of the most important questions I've been trying to get an answer to myself as well. It's very, very clear you have absolutely tremendous levels of grit and relentlessness. It's also very clear that you've somehow passed this on to your son. So what is your advice to your son for him to teach these same levels of grit and relentlessness to your grandson?
Sure. So first of all, it's a lot of integrity, making sure that I'm authentic, right? I'm living the life that I want to live and that he is. So, but passing it on, like he started his own travel business. He wants to be the entrepreneur. I'm like, Showami's my dream. That's not your dream. For him right now, he's super excited. He's doing really great, but I want him to have, go his path, doing what he wants to make his mark on the world his way, and I totally I support him. I'm gonna be his biggest cheerleader in asking him, even and I'll do this very intentionally. I'll go like, before he started the travel business, I'm like, well, what are you gonna do on your own? Like, what business are you gonna start? And got him thinking and giving him, he knows I've got his back, giving him that kind of push, like, you need to do your own thing too, right? I'm super glad with what you're doing for me, but you need to go do you and what's best for your family and what your passion is. And, now they're doing it. His goal is within 6 months that his wife will no longer have to go work a second job. So please don't let her employers watch this video. But
We'll release an episode if you want us to.
I'm sure they're not watching this. Anyway, I think, his goal is for her to be able to stay at home. Well, he can't necessarily do that just with Showami. He has to have another set of revenue. And that's where this travel business, and he's tenacious at it. He's going to do it. Just this weekend, he was
the cool talk about this forever. The onion that I want to peel to is somehow he has absorbed this grit and tenacity from you. And this is a question I'm sure most parents struggle with. You say, how do I teach grit to my kid? Somehow you taught him grit. Now, if you have to think about how he will teach his grandson, your grandson grit, right? His own son grit. What would you tell your son? Like, this is the playbook on how you teach grit. Like, what would you say that playbook is?
So it's your relationship with your work or your business. if your business is a taskmaster and it's a drudgery and it's hard, they're going to pick up on, my dad doesn't really like what he's doing. He's doing it, but he's not really into it. But the flip works too. If you love what you're doing, you believe in what you're doing, you know you're helping other people, and at the same time they end up helping you, it's a positive reinforcement. Now he's like, well, if I've got opportunity, I want to do what they're doing. This guy's making money and he's happy. I'm going to do that. So I think it's your relationship with what you do, with your career, with your profession or your business, and how you do that, and what's really in your heart and in your mind is going to translate to your kids. It can't help but translate to them.
Wow, that's so insightful. I absolutely agree. Yeah. Now, Matt, as we think about Showami and your aspirational goals over the next 12 months, let's say your aspirational goal for the end of 2025, what do you feel are the biggest bottleneck that you'll have to solve to reach your aspiration over in the end of 2025?
So I think one of the things that we're focused on right now is agent quality. It's one thing to be super reliable, right? Hey, if I need a showing, I can get a showing, piece of cake. There's another too, like it's an amazing, right? Think of Starbucks. You know what you're going to get when you go to Starbucks, the ambiance, the taste, the smell of the place, the smile that person gives you. Like it's an experience. So it's hard for us, or we haven't done as good a job as what I would want, creating an experience around the home showing. That's a challenge. That's hard, especially when you're trying to do that over a large number of people. It's easy if it's one-on-one, right? Like you can be with me and this other, somebody else who's doing a good job with it. It's hard when everybody's, in other offices, other states, other areas, different cultures. How do you create that? So that's a challenge.
Makes sense. But I'd love to ask you some rapid fire questions. So, what's your ultimate vision for the future of the home buying and selling industry?
Yeah, I think my vision for it, that we would finally meet the consumer and sell homes to the consumers the way that the consumer wants to buy them, rather than the way that we want to sell the consumer. That's where I think the future is going. The person who can solve that, the company, the organization that can solve, I'm going to let the consumer buy the way the consumer wants to buy, they're going to win 5-10 years from now.
We are aligned on that. So yeah, we'll talk more about this offline. I absolutely love that, and I 100% agree with that. What do you feel about the home buying and selling industry that might surprise most listeners?
That it's really not all about them. I think people think real estate agents are greedy or they're just out for themselves. I don't really believe that, and I know that's not true. I'm on the board of realtors with the MLS committee. I'm the chair. These people really do care about the industry. They really do care about the consumer. Sometimes we get wrapped in, there's some bad actors, but I do think that the majority of the people really do care and really do want to do a good job. And I think some people are going to go, oh, you're living in a fantasy land. I don't think so. I really do think that's what the agents really do care. And I think they'd be surprised.
Yeah, I agree. It's very hard to be a real estate agent. Most people think they just make easy money, but it's a tough job, and only the ones who do care survive in it for the long term. Let's say a family office calls you and says, okay, we've had a liquidity event, we've invested in a bunch of asset classes, but now we have 100 million left over and we only want to invest in real estate. How would you advise them?
Well, I mean, would you invest in real estate as like
as an asset? Anything in real estate?
I like stuff that doesn't require a lot of maintenance. So I would probably tell people, a development, a mobile home park, multifamily. I think they could get a very good return and do really well with it. I mean, think about it. BlackRock owns a ton of real estate. They're very smart people. I would probably move them into, multifamily residential, or even mobile home parks where you just own the land. You don't, and you're just drawing rents from it.
Yeah. And I think most
I think there could be a future of that for real estate, right? So somebody would be smart to take, and what we used to do with mobile homes was and that's where I started, right? So understand that's where I'm coming from. People go like, oh, mobile homes, but they would buy land, acres and acres of land, and put them in small lots and charge. At that time, it was still like $300-400 a month just for the lot. And all they did was cut the grass.
There's no property management, there's no maintenance. There's very limited property management and maintenance, and you still own the land forever. Plus, you collect rent on the land, and plus, they put their homes there, so they're kind of like permanent tenants for a very long time.
That are paying for forever leased land. I mean, they do this in Hawaii. I think that's one market that you see it. But anyway, I think it's because then you could sell the home, let's say a $300,000 home. Now you're basically selling it for $200,000, so, oh my gosh, finance it, but it's on leased land, whether it's a 100-year lease, 50-year lease or whatever, but you're getting revenue off that land and not, forever. Like
forever. And plus, you still own it at the end of 50 years. I love mobile home parks. Yeah. What is your personal real estate portfolio like these days, man?
So I own my personal house and then 2 single family rental home.
Plus 2 SFRs.
And I have no problem renting them. My tenants, I give them deposit slips and they go to the bank and put the money in. It's mailbox money. I love rentals.
Yeah, especially if you can provide a really high quality product to a really high quality customer. It's a good product market fit that can generate value for both parties over the long.
Yep.
What's the best financial advice you ever received?
Live on a budget. That was, I'm a Dave Ramsey graduate from Financial Peace. I've gone through the downside where I spent way more than I should. I spent money I didn't have. I was trying to live the American dream, driving a Lexus, thought I was going to make money my whole life, and it came crashing down in that 2008, 2009, time frame. And so I went to a course called Financial Peace, and that taught me to live on a budget, live within my means, don't spend more than what I'm bringing in, give 10% to God. There was a lot of great things that I taught. So the best advice I got was for sure.
Yeah, that I couldn't agree more. I run a real estate company as well, and it's profitable, growing, but I still drive a $3,000. I agree with you 100%. Live way below your means and it'll make your life so much easier. Last question, and I'll ask this again in a different way. You're now a proud grandfather. You have 3 kids and you have an amazing partner. If your loved ones agree to be mentored by you, what's the number one skill you would teach them?
That's a great question. I think it's not something that I would teach them, but it's something they've already learned from me. And that's how to put the needs of others first. That's, to me, so many people are, what's in it for me, right? How is this going to benefit me? And if it doesn't benefit me, I'm not involved. Sorry, thank you very much. And that's a scarcity mindset. So I would mentor them on meet the needs of other people first, and your needs, you aren't even going to have to worry about it because so many people are going to give you what you need that you'll never be in need.
Such a powerful piece of advice, not just for life, but for business as well. Have an abundance mindset, focus on the needs of others, place them above you, and you will be taken care of throughout that journey. Was Matthew Kuchar, a legend in the real estate space. He has onboarded more agents on the platform than the biggest brokerage in the country, 5 times the biggest brokerage in the country. And his Salmon laser focus on a single goal, helping you make the home transaction process as simple and easy and effective as possible. If you're a real estate agent listening to this and you want help from a local agent to help show homes to your buyers, check out Showami.com. If you want to reach out to Matt, I'll put his details in the bio. This is Nick Shah. If you ever want to talk about real estate, shoot me a note on CEO@home.llc. Thanks, everyone.